Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of RJ's Guide to Cigarette Pack Art. If you missed part 1, there's a link down there. I'm using this book, Cigarette Pack Art by Chris Mullen, published in 1979, and it's a bible of the history of cigarette packs. Now, if you don't have time to watch the whole video, don't worry. Just click on the link down there and you get to the images. Want to hear a bit of history? Listen up, because RJ's condensed it down. I've got my type notes. Thank God I learned to type when I went to college all those years ago, and I can do about 20 words a minute. You open the book up, and the first image is that, and then it goes on to the introduction. Now, there's a lot of writing, I admit, and I've tried to condense it down as much as I can. In this episode of RJ's Guide to Cigarette Pack Art, I'm going to deal with the first packs, early packs, and the introduction. Some videos in this series will be longer than others. This will be one of the longest ones. Sorry about that, guys. As you see, loads of writing. And basically it says this: 20 times a day you take that pack out of your pocket for the average smoker. It takes a personal association. This book is not about the development of cigarette smoking or changes of fashion. It is about carrying with you a packet that has to stand for something. As a senior executive of Philip Morris put it in 1971. Pack design. Some people have suggested hidden messages in packs. Willis & Co., producers of Woodbine, aroused suspicions certain sections of the population in Northern Ireland with their green and orange packs. For years there has been rumour that the cross-shaped printer's registration mark on the glued edge pack meant 2p went to the Vatican. It then describes special packs that's been around, and I'll show you these. Brand X, Cancer, and Win with Nixon. Always. Brand X came out in the 1920s. In the 1970s there was a Dutch brand called Mem Mori, which is a shortened version of Memento Mori, which means remember that you must die. It had a skull with a rose in its teeth. Later in the UK we had Death cigarettes, if anyone remembers that, in the 80s. The largest collection back in 1979 had 52,160 packs in it from 210 countries by Neil Van Gogh, a Danish lawyer, and his collection was bought by Carriers Rossmann. Is there a public museum of cigarette packs today? I don't know. Perhaps someone could tell me. First of all, cigarettes were sold by weight, and you got loose cigarettes wrapped in paper. Then, from 1883, for example, Willis Goldflakes were available in packs of 5s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 17s, 18s, 20s, 50s, 100s, and in 1941, 500s. Also manual tins of 150. Printers using new print processes got involved in these packs and later cigarette cards. The biggest ones were Marden, Robinsons of Bristol, Tifsons of Liverpool, and David S. Smith. These early packs were works of art. For instance, Marden had 12 artists working for them, designing cards and packs. Cellophane wrapping packs started in 1926. Now, going back to this book, a couple more images. Two players. I'll show you that again. Loads of writing and examples of art. And more writing. Tobacconists had this shop displays created by the artists. Some more packs, sorry, cigarette cards. These images follow at the end of the film. And that's the end of the introduction. This is going to solve to the next clip, which is talking about chapter 1. Enjoy. Okay guys, chapter 1. As you see, symbol. All these images will be created at the end in the film. Cigarette smoking first became popular and acceptable habit in the 1880s. Within 20 years, the tobacco industry found itself one of the major growth areas of the 20th century economy. The early brands were many in number, magnificent in design, using brilliant colour, lively decoration, strong patterns, and an uninhibited, virtually worthy of comic books. And you see some more images there. And we move on to Duke. Now Duke, and I'll tell you about him in a minute, is one of the most important people in cigarette history. But before I discuss him, I'll just talk about the first packs. The first cigarette pack factory was in 1856 by Robert Glogg in Cheapside in London, which is near St Paul's Cathedral. At first it was frequented by foreigners, but by 1861, the Great Exhibition, they became popular with the British as well. Until this day, most cigarettes were wrapped in sheets of paper. In the 1880s, wood turbines became introduced, and the machine that changed everything was the Bonsack machine, because instead of hand-rolling cigarettes, it mass-produced them at half the cost. The American Tobacco Company bought the machine. And what or who is the American Tobacco Company? Well, to start off with, you got this man, James Buckland Buck Duke. He lived from 1856 to 1925. He was founder of W. Duke Sons and Company and believed cigarettes were not a fad. He had bought the Bonsack machine and captured nearly 40% of the USA market, aged only 33. He then persuaded his four major rivals to join him: Allen and Ginder, Kinney Tobacco Company, W.S. Kimball and Company, and Goodwin and Company. They became the American Tobacco Company with a capital of $5 million. Much of his success was due to Duke's personality, stubborn persistence, a capacity of taking pains, and a streak of cruelty. Duke knew all his workers personally and all the factory processes. He lived and breathed cigarettes. He created the cigarette card. To give some of the cheaper brands wrapped in paper extra protection, he inserted a cardboard stiffener between the rows of cigarettes. He never wasted any of his services, always advertising his brands, and constantly looked at his competitors. And I've shown you his packs. what he produced there. Due to his near monopoly, the government, antitrust circles and tobacco farmers opposed him because he tried to manipulate the price. President Roosevelt set in motion that was to end and cut back the tobacco company in 1911. In 1901, Duke had grand plans. He went to Liverpool and met with J.D. and W.G. Player. His first words were reportedly, "Hello boys, I'm Duke from New York and I'm here to buy your business." They didn't take too kindly to this and they wouldn't do business with him. However, Duke bought Ogden Limited of Liverpool, whose Skinny Gold rivaled Woodbine in the cheap end of the cigarette company. To stop Duke monopolising the UK market, Imperial Tobacco Company was formed by a number of independent tobacco companies. Wills of Bristol, Players of Nottingham, Lambert and Butler of London, Mitchell of Glasgow, Smith of Glasgow, Franklin, Davy of Bristol, Clark of Liverpool, Edwards, Ringer and Big of Bristol, Richmond Cavendish of Liverpool, Adkins of London, MacDonald of Glasgow, and Hickness Tobacco of London. You then move on to some more classic looking packs from the era. A load of writing, which I have tried my best to eliminate down. The famous Monkey cigarettes. And then some early packs in Europe. Now, this clip's going to resolve to the next one, where I'll be finalising the last bit of the chapter. Okay, what happened next was unprecedented. The Duke cut the price of Ogden cigarettes, along with all his other brands, by roughly 40%. And went into saturation advertising. The Imperial directors decided that attack was the best form of defence, and so they decided to plan to invade America with their products and take on Duke. They didn't reduce the price of their cigarettes, but offered retailers promotion and scheme to promote their cigarettes instead of Duke's. The war lasted a year, and it was concluded when both sides realised neither side could win in the end, by an agreement. Ogdens were sold to Imperial, but most importantly of all, Imperial and American Tobacco agreed to set up a new tobacco company called British American Tobacco, registered in Britain to serve both groups' interests in the export market to the rest of the world. They also agreed not to invade each other's space, and this continued for the next few years. In 1911, the American Tobacco Company was pruned to a smaller size, occupying 37% of the American market, and two new companies were created, Leggett and Myers, with about 28% of the company market, and Lorillard with 15% of the market. The stage was now set for the big brands to be introduced, such as Lucky Strikes and Camels, and more about that in the next few episodes of this series. Next week, just to finish off, British American tobacco brands included Woodbine, Sweet Capel and Lucky Strike. Also Will's Scissors, Will's Indian Club, Woodbines, etc. Next week is going to be the period of the Great War and beyond. And thanks for watching this series. What follows next is the images from the introduction and chapter 1. Enjoy.